concept album.
Only one of us writes a script.
Oh, I have a script tonight as well. I've actually pre-recorded it. I've pre-recorded it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to play it or... I don't think we will, because I think we need to have spontaneity.
If you play it, you'll get a reaction, then we can edit in.
Yeah, but then I can't react back.
What do you mean you can't react?
Are you sitting down, Chris? I'm sitting down.
I usually sit down. I don't usually sit up.
Before we start, I just wanted to say I'm on Spotify and I can see who's been listening to what over the last, I follow certain people, like I follow Robert Barnhill, who two hours ago was listening to Golden Slumbers by the Beatles. Jim Terry, do either of you know Jim Terry? I don't think you know Jim Terry.
No, not a guy with two first names.
He listened to...
He's ruled out straight away.
55 minutes ago, he listened to Paranoid by Black Sabbath.
Oh, let's get him on. We want him. And he thought it sounded...
fresh.
Yeah.
Artists.
The aesthetics and artistry of artists.
An artist is a young person who's a contestant on The Voice.
Oh, sorry, yes.
That's the new meaning of the word artist. I don't know who number one is this week, but I know who number 2 streaming artist is this week on Spotify. Ed Sheeran. He's dropped off.
Fantastic.
He's coming up on this. He's coming up on today's program in my rave. Oh, in fact, I guess we've started, haven't we?
Is this shirt slimming? Presented by Christopher Soulos, Robert Barnhill, Philip Muscatello. The highs, the lows, the triumphs, the invigilators, the laughter, the tears. Is this shirt slimming? I guess it must be a podcast. Oops.
Did you two get my photos of the Jags?
We did.
The Jags. Is that the guys with the haircuts?
They were an actual band in 1962. They were ahead of their time, those guys.
Oh, ahead, all right.
A triumph of pomade.
But who was the white Elvis who had a haircut like that? What was his? You remember him? The White Elvis? Oh, I'm going to have to look him up. Edit.
There was a black Elvis.
No.
Ambulance to the Blue Mountains, please. Ambulance to the Blue Mountains.
Someone call 000.
Come on, pull it together, Chris. Come on, mate.
Just sounds like a whole episode. Who was the Black Elvis?
Who was the Black Elvis?
Chuck Berry?
Wasn't Johnny Mathis.
No.
Oh, God, I'm hot already. Sorry, I'm just going to take off my jumper. Hang on.
Phil? We think we accidentally saw a few stretch marks.
Is that all? Undulations.
They used to be ripples.
Now it all ripples.
Don Ripples was great.
I have a theory there was a Black Elvis, but it wasn't a he.
Oh, like Big Mama. What's her face? The one who wrote Jailhouse Rock.
No, my theory that Ella Fitzgerald is the antithesis of Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
She's a black woman that sounds white, whereas Elvis was allegedly a white male that sounded black.
Well, he was majorly Indian as well. American Indian.
Yeah.
Cherokee or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What? Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a result of miscegenation.
I think I've walked into the wrong show.
Yes. It's the Ku Klux Klan show. I might just launch into my rave, if that's okay, gentlemen.
Can we get comfortable?
Yeah. Just get comfortable. Put your feet up. This is going to take some time.
Pull the car over.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Because I still want to remain in the deep south of America, like where Elvis came from, but I'm talking about Kentucky now, and the Travis Pick. So this all came about because when I was at Maurizio's having my guitar lesson, dear Maurizio, who we're all dear friends with.
What's Maurizio's surname and how do you say his name properly, just in case someone's looking for a good guitar teacher?
Maurizio. Maurizio D'Abruzzo. Anyway, I'm having this guitar lesson and he's showing me various finger styles. And he shows me Landslide, the Fleetwood Mac song, and he calls it the Americana pick. I don't know about you boys, but I don't do anything anymore without first referring to a YouTube video. So I find out that this Americana pick is also known as the Travis pick. after Merle Travis. Have you ever heard of Merle Travis?
I have heard of Merle Travis, Phil.
Anyway, so I'm following this video of Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac, where he does call it the Travis pick and is describing it. But I've never been a great Fleetwood Mac fan. There's always been something distasteful about their West Coast vibe, and Stevie Nicks' white witchy woohoo. And Lindsey Buckingham.
But they had some great
But
songs.
Stevie Nicks.
They did have some great songs. I'm getting to that. And Lindsey Buckingham.
Oh.
Lindsey Buckingham never seemed to smile in more particularly dreadful outfits. Do you remember some of those outfits? Have a look at some images online to see.
I think he's cool.
Yeah, but you've seen Robert, what he wears.
Thank you, Chris.
But I'm watching this video now, and I'm watching Lindsey, and I'm admiring his playing and actually thinking he's a nice guy. He's a pretty good player. And in the video, he calls himself a refined primitive as far as his playing goes. And he never uses a pick either, which I can relate to because I love playing without a pick. Merle Travis was born and raised in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, which is coal mining country in the American South. He picked up on the rich musical traditions of the region, including a picking style which of course originally came from a black man, like just about everything in American music, Arnold Schultz. And he was born into a family of touring musicians in Ohio County, Kentucky in 1886. He was the son of a former slave. He developed a jazzy thumb-style method of playing guitar that eventually evolved into the Kentucky style. This style was passed along in the region via several musicians, including Ike Everly, who was the father of the Everly Brothers and who was a progenitor of this picking style.
Mike Everly was a coal miner.
Well, speaking of coal mining, this Merle became an icon of country music. His many hits included 16 Tons, a coal mining song, which you may recall was one of the first songs that brought us together, Chris.
1976. 16 tons and why do you get? We did it. Yeah, we did it live to air.
He also wrote a song called Cannonball Rag and my personal favourite song, which is called So Rich, So Round, So Fully Packed, which is a song praising women using advertising slogans of the time. Rob's disappeared. Are you still with us, Rob?
Well, I popped down to the clinic.
Is it good news? Is it negative? Or is it bad news positive?
Told me to stop listening to Phil's monologue.
The Travis pick is an iconic tradition of playing which has passed through folk music and artists like Paul Simon, Johnny Cash, Mark Knopfler, Leo Kottke, Nick Drake, even Heartbeats by Jose Gonzalez, the famous Swedish musician, is a kind of Travis pick. And I just saw on YouTube Ed Sheeran doing a cover of Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, which of course brings me to what I want to really talk about tonight, which is how great Bob Dylan is.
What?
Yeah, he
I'm
is.
not sure if you're up to this, but Chris and I have been going on about Bob Dylan, about how wonderful he is, and well, how I think about he is.
One side of the conversation is about how wonderful he is.
Because I know how
Yeah.
It took me a long while to like him, but yeah, I like him.
oh, there's so many good songs. But what happened with Chris was I said to Chris, I sent him the YouTube clip.
What happened with Chris?
I sent you the YouTube clip of the start of The Big Lebowski, where Bob
Yeah,
Dylan's
it's
singing
not
"The
fair.
Man in Me"
Not fair.
over all those slow motion pictures of the guys bowling.
Yeah, it's not fair. Not fair.
And then so Chris in turn sends me a clip of John Lennon, that bitter old tart, complaining about how dreadful.
And famous McCartney hater.
Oh, really? I wonder why.
Get in the queue.
There's a long line.
Yeah.
I should point out that not only has David Bowie written a song about Bob Dylan, Song for Bob Dylan, but Brian Ferry has done a whole album called Dylanesque of Bob Dylan covers. So I see your John Lennon and I raise you David Bowie and Brian Ferry.
On top of a career that featured at least one Dylan song per album, I think.
I'll get you, Muscatello. I'll get you.
It's the YouTube. Sound like you're having sex.
Oh, thank God for the edit button.
I can see Christopher's tuning out a little bit here. And
No, it's good. I just.
Hello, Chris. That's because we're talking
Yeah,
about
so
Dylan.
That's right. That's what happens to me. I just like, yeah, Dylan finished. Yeah, okay, next. Go on. But no, go on, guys. I'm learning something.
are you feeling any stirrings in your loins towards Bob?
No.
Awkward silence.
All Along the Watchtower belongs to Jimi Hendrix. That's all I want to say.
Well, I think we should point out that Bob Dylan inspired Jimi Hendrix to sing. Jimi Hendrix thought, if Bob Dylan can sing, I can sing.
That's right, which says a lot about Bob Dylan's voice.
So it's Bob Dylan's fault.
No, because Jimmy had a horrible voice, really, but his rhythm was phenomenal. And every now and then he would sing like Bob Dylan. I've got a version of Like a Rolling Stone and Just Like a Woman, because Jimmy was a massive Bob Dylan fan. And I've got to take, I mean, seriously, he was, there's no doubt about it. Bob Dylan's not a bad writer. But yeah, I don't think, look, even like a Rolling Stone, there's certain lines I'll wait for in there. I like The Mighty Quinn, but I prefer the version by Manfred Mann. I like the covers of. I think the guys who do the covers hear the song better than Bob.
Well, that's true.
Well, they're removed from. They're not Bob Dylan. They're not Bob Dylan. They don't have an image to.
Bob's a shit singer, but
Well,
it's just something about the way he
by
does
the
it.
way, I found out who that guy I was looking for. It wasn't the White Elvis. It was this guy I was looking for was the Black James Brown. Or the White James Brown. I did it again. The White James Brown.
As opposed to the Black Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I like the Black Michael Jackson more than I like the White Michael. And there's a guy called Wayne Cochran who had the best hair I've ever seen in my and could
Could
sing.
he have been in the Jags?
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's the same period. But check out his hair. Wayne Cochran, Cochran.
What about Wayne Newton?
Who doesn't like Wayne Newton? Oh, I love Wayne Newton.
What's not to love?
He sings that way because his mother's sick.
Who am I looking up, Chris? Wayne who?
Wayne Cochran, Cochran.
Is this shirt slimming?
Can I just bring it back to Bob just for a second, because you mentioned Like a Rolling Stone before, and if I told you the story about Like a Rolling Stone, the recording of Like a Rolling Stone, about Al Cooper.
Oh, Al Cooper. Yeah. That's Al on organ.
Al on organ, Al Cooper on organ.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Al Cooper is well known for putting together Blood, Sweat and Tears and Lynyrd Skynyrd.
And Shuggie Otis, who is still one of my favourite musicians on the planet, who's considered to be the other Prince.
The Black Prince.
Well, Shuggie's half Greek, half black.
Yeah.
And isn't Prince half black, half what? South
Italian.
American or something?
Half Italian.
Half Italian. There you go.
Just getting back to the Like a Rolling Stone story.
And he's not a keyboard player.
And he's not, well, he's an organist of sorts, but he couldn't actually even play the organ when he turned up for the session of Like a Rolling Stone. He was just friends with the sound engineer. The sound engineer let him into the session. Apparently, I'm not sure, Chris, you can tell me this, but apparently Hammond organs take 10 minutes to even turn on and warm up. And
Well, they've got to get in tune. Yeah, some of the old ones. Yep, they can. Yep, and it's probably an old one.
Yeah, that was very lucky that when he walked in, it was actually on, warmed up, and ready to go. And the band came in and started playing Like a Rolling Stone. And Al Cooper just started playing that all the way through and hitting bum notes. And his engineer mate was pulling him out of the mix and then putting him back into the mix and pulling him out again as he's making mistakes. He's just making mistakes.
I've got to hear it again.
And at the end of the session, they at the end of the take, they are all in the booth and they're listening to it. And Bob goes, "I like it," and that's the version that became Like a Rolling Stone.
I like it. And who are you? My take on Al Cooper is, personally, the high point of Al's career was when he was lucky enough to produce the solo Phil Judd album, Private Lives.
Did he?
He did.
Oh wow!
Is that Phil? Sorry, Phil Judd, not from Spectrum? Is that his name?
No, from Split Ends.
Oh,
Mike Rudd from Spectrum and Phil
Mike
Judd
Rudd,
from
from
Split Ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Mike Rudd.
Counting the beat.
Mike Rudd, Travis picks.
We can add him to my. I'm just adding him to my list of Travis pickers now.
Spreadsheet, I hope.
What's wrong with Paul McCartney's playing on Blackbird? That's not Travis pick.
That's not Travis picking.
Right. What is it?
Travis picking means that you've got the bass, you're doing the bass going boom, 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 boom with the bass, and then playing a kind of a melodic thing with one other finger. This is the amazing thing. It's all just the thumb and the index or the second finger. It's nothing. And there's so much noise that comes out of it. It's unbelievable.
I'm just going to test that.
I'll go get my guitar as well.
Go get mine.
Rob, get your saxophone.
Go get your guitar. Okay, Phil, how do you do this?
That's the Travis pick.
What key are you in?
Oh, I've got a capo on.
Oh,
It's always better with a capo as well. So it's to do with the thumb thing going.
that's the Roman army coming in through the gates.
Isn't it amazing how you make it sound like jazz? Whereas the picking style for Blackbird is a... I dare not play the actual Blackbird in case Paul McCartney's legal team descends upon us.
They're behind you.
They're always behind you.
And he owns all that stuff now. I think we've talked about that.
That's right, because the Beatles catalogue has gone through several hands, including Michael Jackson's.
And Lang Hancock.
Really?
Really?
Yes, guys. Lang Hancock owned the Beatles catalogue for many years, and one of the conditions, Michael Jackson was bidding on it while he was working with Paul McCartney doing, was it not Ebony and Ivory? Was that one of the, She's All Mine or something, wasn't it? That horrible single they did.
The Girl Is Mine.
That girl is mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Phil,
And,
Phil got it first.
I am the wedding DJ.
Yes, that's right. The girl. So while they were recording "The Girl Is Mine," I think Paul was talking about his catalogue because it was already out of their hands, and Michael dropped some joke about more or less alluding that he should be careful. He'll probably end up buying it. So anyway, Michael Jackson did do a concert. Well, the condition of him buying it from Lang Hancock was he did a concert for his daughter, set up the whole stage in Perth, did the concert, and that was part of the payment for the catalogue.
Get down.
Get out of the room.
I could at this point tell another Bob Dylan story. Do you know about the Dave Stewart story? Dave Stewart from Eurythmics?
No.
What about him?
Okay, Bob Dylan and Dave Stewart were working together. This sounds like a joke, but it's actually a true story. I've checked it out.
So Bob Dylan and...
Walk into a bar.
Yeah, walk into a bar. Now, anyway, so Dave Stewart said, look, if you're ever in London, come up to my studio. He lived in somewhere called Crouch End Hill. And so Bob Dylan was in London at some stage and was at a loose end, got into a taxi and said, can you take me to Crouch Hill End? A certain number. And anyway, there's all these crouches and hills and Hill Crouch End in London, apparently. And so the taxi driver ended up taking him to the right number, but in the wrong street. And so Bob Dylan knocks on the door, and the woman answers, and he says, is Dave here? No, but he'll be back in an hour. And so goes inside. An hour later, Dave the plumber arrives and says, are there any messages? And his wife says, no, but Bob Dylan's in the front room having a cup of tea.
Did an album with the plumber.
He really dug deep.
Unreleased.
That's great. That's fantastic.
But this is the thing about Bob Dylan, is that he sounds like a very nice guy, and he's constantly on tour. He's never not touring, I don't think. Or it seems that way.
He's afraid of going home. He's afraid of going home.
But
The never-ending tour.
on the net, there's all these sites about Bob Dylan sightings, and people are seeing him all the time, and he just seems to like to wander.
Like a Rolling Stone, doesn't he? Sounds like a Rolling
Chris,
Stone.
that's deep.
So what are we going to do about MP3s now that they're dead, Phil?
Well, now that
Are they?
MP3s are dead, you need to tell us about why they're dead.
Oh, what happened? Where?
Oh, see what I mean? See, Rob doesn't know.
Oh, I don't know.
The world is aghast.
MP3s are finished. They're no longer being supported by the Fraunhofer Institute. Fraunhofer? I think it is. Fraunhofer, whatever. Whoever knows the pronunciation of the name, please email us.
What's the upshot from that?
Well, it's going to go public domain so that the coding will be available, which is the standard amongst the audio fraternity. If there's a coding, say some guy creates some amazing compressor or reverb unit or delay machine and he dies, you can bequeath it to your kids so that they control the licensing. But if you die without bequeathing it, the coding goes out into the public domain. So anyone can have a look at it, take it apart, rebuild it, but you can't resell it as your own. Same as MP3. So Fraunhofer Institute is no longer supporting MP3. The license has finished, but it doesn't mean that MP3 is dead. It's still being supported by the public, by people who can code it. So yeah, what it means is that if you bought a lower level, say audio recorder, you had to pay for the license to use MP3. You had to go and pay a license for
I'm
it.
going to get a much more comfortable chair.
But now that's no longer the case. It's free.
While you were talking about MP3, Chris, that was fascinating. I looked up a list of commonly used phrases. Are you ready? My contention is
Yes.
I could read you this list and it would sound like a set list of AC/DC. You ready? Fight fire with fire. Fish out of water.
Go.
Fit as a fiddle. Flea market. Foaming at the mouth. What do you think? Keep on trucking. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your shirt on. Knock your socks off. Know your ropes. Knuckle down.
And Thunderstruck?
Throw in the towel. No, they're not AC/DC songs, but they could be.
It's Aussie metal, isn't it? No other country can.
Tough it out. 2 down. 1 to go.
I've been trying to explain what the difference is between heavy metal, hard rock, and AC/DC.
Well,
How would you describe the music? Because it's not heavy metal, is it?
No, they're the
it's hard
cabaret
rock.
version. The cabaret version of metal.
metal is its own cabaret. What are you saying?
True. But AC/DC, particularly.
Hang on, no, I think metal's far more cabaret than
Possibly.
AC/DC.
They're the Barry Manilow of metal.
No, they're a hard rock band. Here's one for the musos.
They're not a hard rock band.
But what is...
They're not a
They
soft
are
rock
a hard
band,
rock
Rob.
band. Easy listening hard rock. AOR, easy listening hard rock. Now, guys, I know there's always an easy listening song trying to break out of a hard rock song, but Chris, you were just about to say about Malcolm Young's guitar.
Yeah, he's loud and clean. It's absolutely amazing because there's all these guys in all these forums who try and get his sound. Like, what pedal do I use, or which guitar? What sort of pickups and what chain of pedals do you have? It's basically a guitar going straight into an amp, clean as and played like him.
Cabaret clean.
There's no magic formula.
And he was the backbone, and unfortunately, he's not going to be
The
with us
songs
for very
don't work
much
without
longer.
him. So it's it'll be interesting to see. Didn't they get a younger cousin or brother or something?
Yeah, cousin.
Or son
How
of
like that?
cousin. Yeah, it'll still work. It's a family groove, you know.
I mean, that's one thing about AC/DC. They've got this, this hell-bent drive just to keep going no matter what, no matter who dies, no matter who falls over, no matter who gets arrested and goes to jail. It's kind of...
And it always sounds the same.
Well, yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
In fact, apparently half of Balmain is owned by AC/DC as part of their property portfolio that they've built up over the years.
That's why it's got so much music in there.
Who?
And that's the funny thing about Balmain. You see these young guys. You'll see these young guys that look like they're from Wayne's World gormless young guys with black T-shirts walking down Darling Street occasionally, making the pilgrimage to Malcolm Young's mansion.
Really?
Cabaret
down
headquarters.
at East
That's
Balmain.
fantastic. Cabaret headquarters.
Yeah.
Aussie rock mates, brother.
Let's do a professional sign-off. I've got a new slogan for us. Is this shirt slimming? We gladly feast on the future to nourish the past. What do you think?
We gladly feast on the fish to nourish the pasta. Is that what you said?
I got a little bit confused after. Are you recording?
Yuri's not on this. Well, you know what that music means, Phil.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to say goodbye and thanks for joining us for another episode, but are we recording?
Are we on? Morning.
Yeah, so, well, look, that was a great episode. I really enjoyed talking about, we insert topic here.
You've been listening to Is This Shirt Slimming? Brought to you by the Dapto Foreskin Restoration Clinic. Time to act. Become intact.